Okay, so welcome to our pharmacy math class. I don't think they can see me so much in case I get in there, but they're looking at this board here. So, first thing I want to do, and we can act like we're in class, we're just recording class, and it's not going to be. So the first problem I want you to look at, these are some example problems, and you may or may already understand this. But we will figure that out. Say a problem says, and this is how your problems are going to read. The physician orders ferrous sulfate 500 milligrams POQ day for 30 days. So we already know our medicine is ferrous sulfate 500 milligrams. How you have on the shelf ferrous sulfate 220 in 5 milliliters. How many milliliters is required for one dose? So, how are we going to figure that out? There is a formula where you can do it dose on hand, and through the videos, you can do that. We also have another formula, ratio. So, for as this problem, we know we've got 500 milligrams. This is what we got. Right? So, we know we got that. What we have available, it reads on the shelf, ferrous sulfate 220 in 5 milliliters. So over here we would put 220, and it's milligrams as well, which is great. We don't have to do any changing from this to this in 5 milligrams. So or 5 milliliters. What we want to know is how many milliliters are we going to give this patient, because they need 500. So simplest way to do that is your cross multiplication, because there's another way you can do it as well, but we're not going there yet. We will get there. So how are we going to do that? So you would cross multiply 500 milligrams times 5 equals, and that's going to give you your problem here. And what would that be? Somebody got a calculator?
100 up there.
No, 500 times 5.
Oh, 2,500.
2,500. So we got 2,500 milligrams over here equals. Now that's that side of the problem. Now 220x, 220x, 220x. So how we need this x. 220 times x. We need that x. So we got to divide 220 by 250. And somebody tell me what that is? Was 2,500 divided by 220.
220.
Mm-hmm. So your answer is 11.36. So what we need to know is you have on the shelf how many milliliters is required for one dose. So we've got 11.36. We want to round that up to the nearest 10. So that is how many milliliters we're going to give. Literally. And that is your problem. Now, what also is in there is they want this 500 milligrams every day for 30 days. So you want 11.4 milliliters, sorry, I keep saying milligrams, for 30 days. So they want 11.5, 11.4 times 30. And this is your next question. How many do you give this patient? Because they're going to take it for 30 days. So now we need to know how much to pour up. So now we got 11.4 times 30, and what does that equal? Keep your calculator. And you can use calculators on your test as well.
11.4,
Times 30.
342.
So we are going to fill this order 342 milliliters. Now that is actually a harder way to go than what you can do. So we're going to use a similar problem. I'm going to make it easy for you so you can see it a little better.
Can I see the problem?
Well, yeah, I'm going to actually give you a page for that after we teach it. Alright? So we're going to make it easier, and this is another way you can think about it. If they give you easy numbers on your test. So, we have, doctor's still gonna order, I should have left it. Doctor's still gonna order 500 milligrams, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the shelf, we got 250 milligrams in 2 milliliters. Now, we gotta find this X. Now, this is an easy way to do it. This is also what you remember from probably going back to 7th, 8th grade math. So, how do you go from 500 to 250? What do you do to make 500 250?
Divide. No.
Yes, you divide by 2. And that gives you 250. So here you would divide by 2. So here, we're gonna get, yeah, I think I did that wrong, times 2. On the other side, we're gonna times about 2. And times 2. Let's make it easier. Start with the lower number, right? This is how the problem goes. So how do you get, and we're gonna go this way, much easier. 250 to 500. What do you gotta do?
Times 2.
Times 2. So that gives you 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is 2 times 2?
2 times 2 is 4.
Yes. And so your answer would be 4 milliliters. If they wanted, the doctor ordered 500 milligrams, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 250 in 2 milliliters. So you automatically know you need double. So, we're going to go times now. So, if the doctor orders 400 milligram tab, right? And you know you only have 200 milligram tabs. Of course, that's going to be in one tab. That's what you got on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need to find out what this is. So, what would X be? How do you go from 200 to 400?
That's probably different.
No. How do you go from 200 to 400? Times 2.
So why is it times 2? No. So how you do
And then you're going
times
to times
2 with
this 2 as well?
How do you do times 2 on both of those problems? Like up there you get times 2.
Because that's times 2 of 500. 250 times 2 is 500.
Okay.
200 times 2 is 400. You got it?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Those numbers can be the same, very same. It's just
Okay.
depending on what you got. So you know that's how you got to 400. So what is 2 times 1?
2.
2. Don't think hard. The doctor ordered 400 milligrams. You know in your common sense. Doctor ordered 400 milligram tablet, right? You only got 200, so how many you gonna need? 2.
2.
So say, a lot of people know about ibuprofen.
Mm-hmm.
You know the best ibuprofen is ibuprofen 800.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want an 800, and then if you have to buy those, that's a prescription. That's a prescription. So in order for us to get them out the store, they come in 200s. So how many will we need?
4.
4. So 200 is in one tablet, so how many we would need? 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. And some of that you can do if you just think about it. First, think about your problem before you go filling out, doing equations and stuff. Okay? So let's get another one. The doctor orders codeine gram 1/4. That is, or grain 1/4. GR is grain 1/4. First of all, you got to know, and you can do this in your head, that a whole grain is 60 milligrams, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 gram equals 60 milligrams. So what would be a fourth of that? And you got to think, just like the clock, there's 60 minutes in a clock. What's a fourth of the clock?
Would be 0.15 or 0.25?
15.
Oh, 15.
Fine, because the clock is 60. You got to add 15, 15, 35. So if I want gram 1/4, how many milligrams is it going to be?
15.
Just the same, yes. So if I want gram 3/4, how many milligrams is it?
30.
3/4. That's 1/2. You remember this just the pie. This is your 15 minutes, 30,
The 45?
45. Just like the clock. 3/4 of a clock is 45 minutes. Okay? So that question would help you answer this. So we know that gram 1/4, because a fourth of a grain is 15. Problem says, how many milligrams is this equivalent to? Well, that's easy. We already figured that out, 15. Okay? You could also know that a whole grain is 60, and you just divide by 4. You'll know which, how much is in each fourth. Okay? Next, let's go to, you have 70% solution of dextrose 1000. So we already know we got 70% of dextrose 1000. That's what we got. How many kilograms of dextrose is in 400? Milliliters. So we got 70% of dextrose 1000. So all we really need to know is there is 70% in dextrose 1000. Once you figure that out, you can just go straight to your 70% in 400. All they want to know is how many kilograms of dextrose is in 400 milliliters. So first thing you want to know, where's my problem? I'm missing. Is that you know that you have 70 grams of dextrose in every 100. Regardless, if it says 70%, we know that it's 70% in 100 is how it comes. Comes out and made just like that. 70 grams is in dextrose 100. So if I got 50% dextrose, what do I got? How many grams? That's 70 goes for 70%. So if it's 50%, how many we got? 50 milligrams. And it's always in 100. Right? It's always in 100. So if they say I got 90% dextrose in whatever, it could be in 2 million milliliters. What is, how many do we got per 100? 90 per 100 milliliters. And that's how they go about it. They're saying 70% of that is sugar. Dextrose is sugar. Alright? So, once you figure that, we know that there is 70 grams of dextrose in 100. So how many grams is in dextrose 1,000? So you can figure out in your head, if there's 70 and 100, we know that to get to 1,000, we need 10 times that, right? So you can times 10, and then what we're going to do to this, times 10 it as well, so 700 grams is in. So it is just 8%. To make that easier, you can just say 0.7
times 1,000.
times 1,000 equals what?
700.
There you go. So, once you understand that, we're going to figure out how many kilograms. Think on that, because this is milligrams, or grams, I should say. Grams. So once we get our grams, these are grams. Now we got to figure out how many kilograms of dextrose is in 400. So we already know we got 70% of 400. So you can go 0.7 times 400 equals what? 280. So we know it's 280 grams. But they asked for kilograms. Right? They want how many kilograms? We done figured out the problem. It was not bad. It looked. They just telling you got 70% of dextrose in 1,000. We already know that's 700 grams. 700 grams, because each of these 70% is in 1,000. And that's what they're telling you. When they write 70%, 50%, 30%, it's always in 100. So whatever you got, it's like you've got 10 of them. If you got 1,000, you've got 10 of those, and we figured that. So how many kilograms? So we know that kilograms are bigger, right? Anything when it says kilo, it's bigger. So how many grams does it take to make a kilogram? Kilograms are always 1,000. So we're going to have to move our decimal place. Right now our decimal place is here. To make it a kilogram, you have to move it. 1, 2, 3. Because there's 3 zeros, you move it 3 places. So they're asked that question. That's what they asked. 0.280 kilograms. Kilograms.
Why would we move all 3 places?
Because we've got to make it, if you know 1,000 is bigger, right? Grams are smaller. So you always move to the left to make it smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 280 grams. We're going to have to make it a kilogram. So we know kilograms are bigger. And we got to move it 3 places to the left. To make it a bigger number, you move it this way. Right. We got to make this part of a kilogram. So your answer should be, let me make sure it's here as well. I changed the answer. But that's your answer. 0.280 of a kilogram. 0.280. Always from kilograms to grams, or grams to kilograms, you 1, 2, 3. Got it? Let's see what else we got going on here. And they asked for kilograms. All right. Sublingual, what's that mean? You just put some pharmacy stuff out. What does sublingual mean?
Something.
Sublingual, under your tongue. You lingual is talking. Linguist, somebody who can knows a lot of languages. Some linguist, talking. So sublingual is under your tongue. It's just FYI, that'll help you remember that. Next question. A prescription reads for erythromycin 150 milligrams every 6 hours for 10 days. We're not going to worry about our every 6 hours for 10 days yet. We know that erythromycin 150 is ordered. So this is the order. Erythromycin 150 is ordered. So I already know it's going to be X something. On hand, there is erythromycin 250 in 5 milliliters. On hand, they have 250 milligrams in 5 milliliters. Okay? So again, here you try your best. Can you figure out how you get from 150 to 250? You might can. Try the calculator. Go 250 divided by 150. See if it's a whole number. Anytime you can get easy like that, then your problem is so much simpler. 250 divided by 150. 0.6. So we're not even going to use that. We don't want to do that because you're not going to figure that in your head. That's something you might do, but you don't want to do that. So we're going to do it this way. In your head, you want to win from, oh, I can do that. That's 0.6. Even though that's one way to check yourself when you're done. So 150 milligrams to 250. We got to get there, but in order to do that, we got to cross multiply. So 150 times 5 is what? 750. So now we know we got 750 over, or I should say, we'll go 750 milligrams times 250x. You got to put them two together. And then to finish this problem out, we just divide by 250. Put 250 on both sides. That's going to give us our answer. So what's 750 divided by 250? You probably know that out your head. 3. So go back and logically think about it. Doctor ordered 150. We got this in the pharmacy. So what are we going to give this patient? 3 what?
3 milliliters.
Yes, but that is part of what we were looking for. So we got 250 and 5, so 150 is in 3. We just figured it out. X equals 3. Alright? Pick up another one. Let me see, I'll make up one. So, we're going to keep with our erythromycin 150 milligrams. That's what the doctor ordered for 4 times a day, 10 for 10 weeks. Something really wrong with them if they're taking antibiotics for 10 weeks. But that's the order. But on hand, we have 100 milligram tablets. Or not milligram tablets. Was it in? Yep, it was in there. We got 105. So, how do you go from 100 to 150? Can you figure that in your head? You probably can, maybe.
Would you do 150 times 100?
You can. No, you got to cross multiply. But if you try to figure it out in your head by ratio, how do you get from 100 to 150? I just keep it to you. 1.5. 1.5 gets you from 100 to 150. So we would just times 5 times 1.5. That's if you figured that out in your head. If not, because I see you said, no, I wasn't going to figure it out. That's fine. Then we have to go 150 times 5, which is what?
750.
750. And then that's that multiplied. Then 100 times x. So we got to get the x by itself. So we got to do the divide. 100 divided 100.
So 750 divided by
100 equals, you might could just cross out, but
7.5.
use your calculator. 7.5 equals X. So, go back to logically trying to put it together. In the pharmacy, we had 100 milligrams in 5 milliliters. That's what was in the bag. But the doctor wanted 150. So how many do we give? We give 7.5. Because that's 1.5 times that. And if you had been able to think on it. Okay, let's go. Go to no. Let's see if I know what I was doing over there. We'll just do one of these. I forget my problems I was making up. Alright, a solution of Haldol contains 2 milligrams in a milliliter. So we know that is what we have. 2 milligrams in a milliliter. So it's 1. This is what we have. And I like to put my own hand. You actually can put them anyway, but this is what we have. Like my own hand over there. Own hand. So that's what the doctor ordered. And this is how you have to take these apart. How many grams would be in 437 milliliters of this solution? So if 2 is in 1, all we need to know, then, and this is where they trick you. They're telling you they need 473 milliliters. So they've changed it. Just in a way, but easy. Think about it. How do you go from 1 to 473? Multiply by what? 1 to 473. Now you're supposed to know that one.
What's about 1?
No. 1's gonna get you 1. 1 times that number equals that number. So how do I get from 1 to 473? You times it by.
What is that? I guess be 2 then. If it's not 1.
No. How you go from 1 to you already know it's 473, but it's times 1. I mean times 473. Sorry.
That's what you got.
So this is times 143. What does and just think about it. How much is 1 times 143? It equals what?
What are you getting? Wait a minute. What are you getting? 143.
I'm sorry. My eyes. Thank you very much. It's 473. So what's 1 times 473?
473.
Yes. So what I asked you is how do you go from 1 to 473? You just answered that. You times it by
1.
no.
You times it by 4.473.
Yes. So, but that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. That's how we got this problem. So 2 times 473 is what? You use calculator.
473 times 2, 946.
946 milligrams are in 473 milliliters. That's it. How about we'll do another one of those? We got 3 milligrams of Haldol and I think the 1 messed you up. 1, we're gonna do a 1 again. And 1 milliliter. So we got a whole bucket of Haldol back there. We got 1,000 milliliters. We got 1,000, but I need to know how many milligrams we got back there. So this is your X.
Multiply by 1,000.
Yes. 1 to 1,000. That's how you get back to 1,000. So we got times this by 1,000. So 3 times 1,000 is
3,000.
3,000. So X equals 3,000. We was trying to figure out how many milligrams are in that 1,000 milliliters we got back there. They just switched the problem up so you can think about it, so you know what it really is. So if you have, here goes another one. Let's see if you can figure it. If you have 75 or 70% dextrose solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we already know, just by it telling us it's 70%, what do we know automatically?
7.
We got 70 grams
7.
goes in every 100 milliliters. That is the standard. If they're telling you 70% dextrose, they're telling you we got 70 grams of dextrose in 100 milliliters. It is an order. I mean, it's not even an order. That's just the bag is labeled 70% dextrose. We know that 70% of that bag is sugar. And if we've got 70 goes in every 100, and we just had this problem. So how many is in 400? If 70 is 100, how many is in 400?
280.
Yes. So how did you get from 1 to 4 or 400? 100 to 400, you times by 4, that would be 280. We know we got 280 grams. You gotta keep that in your head. So anytime I say, what if I tell you I got 50% dextrose? What do you know just from that writing right there? You know that there is. What do you know just from here? Not even a problem yet. We already know what is the solution.
50.
50 grams in what? It's always 50, 60, 70 in
100.
100. So we already know this. That's it. We already know we got 50 grams in 100. So let's read the problem. The problem is 70. So we're going to take that out. So we already know. Our answer right now, we already know that we got 70% dextrose. They're already telling us we got 70% dextrose. So we already know that's 70 in 100. 70 grams in 100 milliliters. That's that solution back there somewhere. The question is, how many grams are in 50 milliliters of a solution? So they're telling us milliliters, and that's another way you can write it as well. Make sure your milliliters go right across from your milliliters. So this you can do in your head too. So I got 100 milliliters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doctor ordered 50. So what did he just do? How do you get from 100 to 50? He only wants half of that. 50 milliliters is half of 100.
Times 2.
So you don't want to times 2 because you got nothing to times 2. So you got to go from here. 100, how do you get from 100 to 50? It's opposite.
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. So 70 divided by 2 is what? You ain't got to do that.
Wow. 35.
There you go. So that's what this doctor wanted. He only wanted 50 milligrams of that solution. That's what we got back there in the bag. That's what he ordered, 50. So in 50, which is half of 100, you only got to have half of your grams. That was too easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me find you another one. So if we got 50% dextrose, we already know what?
50 grams.
50 grams in what?
100 ml.
Yes. So, if the doctor orders 200 grams, he wants 200 grams. How many milliliters is that going to be? In your head, if you do it first in your head, you go 50. How do we get from 50 to 200?
50 times 50 divide.
If you got 50 cents, how many 50 cents you need to get $2?
4.
4. So that's 50 times 4 gives you 200. So we also got to do that to your bottom number, 100 times 4. And that gives you your bottom number. So what would your bottom number be?
400
No.
ml.
So that's what doctor wants, 400 milliliters. 90% dextrose. What do we know? We got what?
50 grams over 100 ml.
Yes. Always. Doctor orders 1,000 milliliters. How many grams is that going to be? How did you go from 100 to 1,000?
The last one was times 4, but
No, each problem is going to be different. How do you go from 100 to 1,000? If you got $100, how many hundreds you need to get to $1,000? 10. Sometimes you just got to put it in money. So you got to times that by 10, that gives you 1,000. So we also do the time. So that's 50 times 10 is
500.
100 grams. Let's get better in here. So say we got 30% dextrose. You're not gonna see that very often. But say that's what we got. 30% dextrose. What do we automatically know?
30 grams over 100 ml.
Yes. Now doctor orders 900 grams of this solution.
30 times 3 is 900. No, it's 30 times.
And if you can't do that in your head, just divide that 900 by 30. Or we can also do this way. It's gonna be a big number though.
30.
If you do it right. Right. So 30 times 30 equals 900, right? So we got to do this to the bottom number. What do I times it by?
Times 30.
Right. So how many grams, milliliters is going to be?
300? No, yeah.
It's got 3 zeros.
Times 3,000.
3,000. Those zeros count. So that's how many milliliters the doctor wants you to give this patient. Back to our original. 70% dextrose.
70 grams over 100 ml.
And doctor orders 280 grams. How many milliliters is that? X much. So how do we go from 70 to 280? And if you can't figure that out, it's always you can cross multiply. But try to do the ratio problem first. So I always do the ratio. When you put equals, that's the ratio. And then the other way, when you make it a problem, it's a times. Because you have to do this number. When it's a ratio, you go from here to there. Okay? So, 70, how do you get from 70 to 280?
I divided. Well, which was
What did you do? You divided 280 by what?
70.
Okay, that's fine.
I got 4.
And you times by 4, right? 70 times 4, get 280. So 100 times 4 is
400.
100. Or you could have cross multiplied, just in case you didn't figure that out. Or you checking yourself. This is also, I always check myself. In order to check yourself, you would go 70 grams times X, so you got 70 X, that's what I do. Then 280 times 100, what is that?
280 times
280 times 100.
2,800.
28, not
28,000.
There you go. So, you can do this and then divide by 70 because you got to get the X by itself. Divide by 70, and that gives you what? First you can do that as a problem.
So we divided 2,800 by 7. And 2 zeros. Divided by 7. 400.
Right. We just did that problem backwards. That's all. no matter what, if this doctor says you got 70% dextrose back there, how much is in 500 milliliters? So another way to check yourself. You can go ahead and make out the problem, but guess what you can also do? If we got 500 milliliters back there, we know that 70% of it is dextrose. So we can just times 5.7, and that gives you your answer. You can always just make this a decimal and times it by whatever they got to tell me how much dextrose is in it. So we'll do that that way. Same problem. Got 70% dextrose, we got 400 milliliters. How much dextrose is in 400 milliliters? You can just 0.7 times 400, there you go, equals
280.
280. That's how we know 70% dextrose in whatever you got. There's always gonna be 0.7 of that. Cause you can do 70 grams, and there are always grams of it. That might put them in grams. So 70 grams in 100. So as a decimal, what is that? Nothing but 0.7. So there's 3 different approaches when you're trying to figure out your problems. You can do the ratio, which is problems like this, into 1 milligram. You've got 4 milligrams in 2 milliliters. And you just, ratio would be, how did I get from 1 to 4? You times by 4, so you times this by 4. Oh, I did it backwards. How do you go from 4 to 1?
Times 4?
No, 4 to 1 is divided by
4.
4. These one, so you go 2 divided by 4. That gives you what?
2.
What's 2
2
divided by
oh.
4? Do I calculate?
2.
No, 2 divided by 4.
Oh.
Not that other way.
0.5.
0.5. So we're gonna get 0.5 milliliter. Because they only wanted 1 gram. Or milligram, whatever I put there. They only wanted 1. We got 4. So I already know it's gonna be a fourth of that. Okay? Let me go back to gram. See if anything. So then we will go back to our another problem. So if we got grain, 3/4. How many grams is that?
0.75.
You could do that point, but no, what's that word? 0.75. But as a decimal, that would be it, but you would have to times it by something. In my head, I can't figure that one. Those are grams. 3/4 of a gram. We already know that a whole one is 60, so 3/4 is, you got the principle. What was grain 1/4?
0.25.
Not point.
Oh.
The point is where you messed up. It's just,
25.
it's not 25,
15.
15. Because it's like the clock. Remember the clock? 60, 15,
30.
30,
45.
45. If I say I want, 75% would be this 45. So 3/4 of a grain is
45.
what?
That's what I'm making.
Yes. You think about it like the clock. 3/4 of the clock. Because it's 60. Makes a whole gram. 60 milligrams equals 1 gram. So we know that 15 is 1/4 of it. 30 is 1/2 a gram. 45 is 3/4 of a gram. And then back to 1. just like the clock. Right. Get another problem, another problem. A prescription calls for 10 milligrams of a drug that is in 2 milligrams in 15. Well, we need prescription calls for 10 milligrams. So the doctor ordered 10 milligrams, right? Now what we have on hand is a drug, and they don't even name it because we're not thinking like that. It's a drug that is in 2 milligrams in 15 milliliters. So we got 2 milligrams in 15 milliliters. Now, you tell me how to figure that problem. This is the doctor's order. Doctor's order, and this is what you have on hand. So there's 3 different ways you can try to figure this. You can make a problem, you can do the ratio, and check behind yourself. So, how would you think?
By 10 divided by 2.
You can divide by 2, but then you ain't got nothing to divide by, so we can't go that way. You gotta go the route where there's numbers.
10
So how do you get 2 to 10?
2 times 2 is 20.
No, how do you get from 2 to 10? Are you doing the ratio or are you doing the problem? If you're doing the problem, you tell me to write something down here. Ratio, you trying to figure out.
2 times 5 is 10.
Yes, 2 times 5, so you times by 5. So we're gonna do what to this?
2 times 5.
And then there you go, gives you what?
I just lost myself.
You can use calculator.
I'm
If you
dividing-
time 5 to get 10, you timing that.
Oh, that's what I like what let's do 15 times 5. 75.
75 is your answer. How did you go from 2 to 10? You times 5. So that's how you're going to go from 15.
Times 15 is 75. Okay.
The doctor ordered this. That's what the doctor wanted. We didn't know how many milliliters, because that's what's sitting in the bag. We got to figure out. He only wants 10 or wants 10. So how many more do we need? We need 5 times that. Right? So, doctor ordered 10 milligrams. That's what the doctor ordered. But back there we got 50 milligrams in 100 milliliters. So how many milliliters we're going to give this patient?
We divide by 5. We get 10 to 50 divided by 5.
There you go, because there's numbers on here. Divide by 5. Go. Oh yeah, that's it. And then we're going to do this, divide by 5. So what is our x?
20.
20. 20 milliliters.
Okay. And
If you do it the other way, let me show you the other way to check your stuff. So 10 times 100 is what?
1,000.
1,000. 50 to x. So 50x. So you go 50x. We want the x by itself. We're going to divide by 50. Divide by 50. So x equals 100 divided by 5. And what is that? Oh, you know that one. That's the $100 bill. You got it. Takes 25. Yeah. That's the other way you can do it. Just cross multiply. You can do the ratio, but that's how you find. You got to find something like each other. So I can mess it up, and you can't do the ratio, because it'll mess you up. Let me do this. Got 43 milligrams. And you actually can't do that because it's a 1. Doctor ordered 5 milligrams, right? This is gonna be an awful number. But you got 43 in, we What, make it easy as a kid, cause I know that's gonna be a crazy number. Okay, so doctor ordered 5 milligrams. All you got is 43 milligrams in 1 milliliter. A milliliter, sorry, milliliters. So, you can't, in your right of your head, go from 5 to 43 without hurting your head, right? How do I do that? Go 43 back to 5. Can't do that, right? So, I ain't either. So, we're gonna have to do the multiplication. So, 5 times 1 equals what?
5.
Got that. Now 43 x.
Hold on. 5.
Hold on. 5 times 1 is 5. Right? And then, and that's it. And 43. So, what do we do to get that x off of there?
Divide 43.
Yes. 5 divided by 43 equals what? So you can't do that in your head.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, that's a crazy one, but give me that answer. And that's what we're gonna have to get the doctor.
0.11 or 0.12 if you round it.
Of a minute. And you can even look and think in your common sense, just say, 43 is in 1, so you know it's gotta be a little number, because he only wants 5. But that's the other way you'll have to figure out, if you can't do it, the ratio way. Alright, let me get another problem. Oh, this is gonna be easy. What is 6/8 converted to a percent? How do you figure out what that number is as a percent? How did you figure out this one? You knew that that's 70%, right? How do you figure that?
You move the. Oh, you divide 7 over 100. But divide 7, yeah. Divide 7 by 100.
70 goes in 100. It's always out of 100 when you're doing it that way. So,
You divide 6 over 8.
yes, not about 80, but 6 divided by 8 equals
Yes,
what,
8.
what percent? What's your percent? Calculator. I can't figure that out.
.75.
That's it. So it's 75%. 0.75 is your answer, but as a percent, you have to move the decimal place over. Remember, if it's already a percent, you have to move it over. If you're making it a percent, you got to move it the other way. That makes any sense. So what was your answer? Just tell me one more time. 6 divided by 8 is what?
75.
What? No, 0.75, right?
75.
To make that a percent, what do?
I move it over.
Yes,
2 places
so it's
up.
75%. Alright,
Okay.
that's another problem.
Do another one right there.
What if it's 3/4? Equals what percent?
That'll be.
You kind of know this one already, but what is it?
This is 75%.
75%, but your answer is gonna be 75.75. Then you move, and it's 75%. But you just went straight there, and that's fine. Just like if I got 2/4.
0.50, and then what would it be? 50%.
Yes, and you knew that. You just didn't think. 2 out of 4. Got those percents. Let's get another problem. Oh, we got another one. 0.115. Make that a percent.
It'd be 115%. So 11.5%.
Yes. 11. You gotta move it to places. get another problem. Another problem. Alright, see what I did over here. That's the problem. Here's the problem down here. This is the problem. That's the workout. So, let's do the problem. The problem is below it. So what I've got to tell you first to figure your problem. This is the doctor's order. That's what the doctor orders, right? Mm-hmm. On hand, you've got 400 milligrams. And these are tabs in one tablet. What do we do? Doctor ordered 200. Where do I put the 200 at?
At the bottom?
At what?
At the top.
At the top. 200. Doctor ordered 200 milligrams of a medicine in eggs. We're just trying to figure out, not in eggs, but it's what makes 200 when you want to figure a tab problem out. What makes 200? So, how did we go from 200 to 400?
It's about 0.5.
Oh, hold on. Can't do that because there's no number here. 400 to 200. How do you go there? You said it. Divide by what?
5.5.
You can. Just divide by 2 though. Or I think you would time by 0.5, but yeah, we're dividing by 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get 200.
20,
So
2.
what is 1 divided by 2?
2.
1 divided by 2.
0.5.
0.5. So this is one tablet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you thought about it, you knew this already. You knew it. 400 milligrams is in one tablet. So what is? How do we get 200? That's half of that. So we just half the tablet. Some of these you just think. You knew that. And I always go back to ibuprofen. Everybody knows about ibuprofen. At the store, you can buy 200 milligrams. But we know if you got a toothache, you need 800 milligrams, right?
4.
So what do you do?
We need 4.
2, yes, you got 4 times 4. So we need 4 tabs. This is 1, 2. 201, 804. 401 and 200 and a half. So you know you had to half it. Okay? That's that answer. Now, this is doctor's order. Okay. We have at the pharmacy, we have 400 again milligrams. And I did tabs. I did tabs again. In one tab, right? Doctor wants 1,600 milligrams. In what? How many tabs does it take to make 1,600? So how we get from 4 to 6? 4 to 16.
4 divide by 4. 1,600 divided
400 to 1,600. How do you go from 400 to 1,600? Because you got no number to divide, so you have to use this number. So how do you go from 400 to 1,600?
400 times 4.
Yes, times 4. Got to do this times 4. So how many?
Times 4.
1,600 is in 4 tabs. All that said is you got 400 milligram tabs. That's what you got, 400 milligram tabs, and then you wanted to make 1,600 milligrams. How many tabs you need?
4.
4. Just like that ibuprofen problem. If you need 800 milligrams and you got 200 in one, you got times about 4, times about 4. Need 4 tabs. Alright? So the order continues to read PO 1600 BID. What does BID stand for?
The way it's going to be given.
Yes, but what's it stand for? BID. You gotta have to know this. 2 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Because your math problems are gonna go right along with this. You have to read your prescription in order to know how many pills goes in that bottle. So, if I got 1,600 milligrams twice a day for 7 days, your next part of that problem would be 1,600 twice a day. So we gotta do the rest of the problem, 1,600 times 2. So we know every day this patient is getting 3,200, right?
Mhm.
Milligrams. Now, for 7 days,
8 times 7.
some 7. And then that comes to some 2,400. 22. So that's how many milligrams he'll be getting. But how many tablets is there? How many tablets does he need to get there? We're gonna make this a problem. Cause I just messed probably y'all up too. So we figured them right. We don't wanna figure milligrams. We've got 1,600, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did that take? 4? So we know he's taking 4 milligrams every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 4 tabs. 4 tabs. Every day.
Mm-hmm.
Or every dose. That's every dose. Right? Because he's got to take 1,600 twice a day. So for every dose, he's taking 4. Where he's taking it 2 times a day. So that's how many tablets he needs in a day. 4 times 2. He needs 8 tabs a day. 8 tabs a day times 7 days, and this is what you're going to put in that bottle. Yeah, 8 tabs times 7 equals 56 tablets in a bottle. So you got the rest of the problem. After you figure out your problem, you got to figure out how much medicine we put in there. So let's do that one again. I'm gonna keep talking. Okay, so imagine you have an order that reads TID. We already know that's 3 times a day, right? BID, 2 times a day. You got to remember all those SIG codes. You will have a test on them soon as well. SIG codes. TID, BID, AM, that means morning. You got to learn all of these. HS, that is hour of sleep. Give another, AC, before a meal. And always remember that as the AM. I know that's before, because I also know PC is after the meal. So I know that PC is after a meal. So before meal is AM in my head. Just try to think that, and PM would be after. So AC is before meals, PC is after meals. And if you just find a way to help you remember those things, and these you will see every day on prescriptions. TID 3 times a day, BID 2 times, AM is morning, HS hour of sleep, AC before meals, PC after. You will see that over and over and over in your learning, in your prescriptions that you're going to fill every day. So part of this is knowing your SIG code so you can figure out how much medication that you are going to put inside of that bottle. So we can go back to this problem. We know that it takes 4 tabs to make up this order. The doctor ordered 1,600 milligrams, but he wanted that BID. So we got to get these 4 tabs twice a day. So that's 8 tabs times 7 days, and that's how many tabs you take, which was 56. 56. Right? problem we will do in a hot minute. Okay, this next problem. This is what the doctor had. Doctor ordered 10 milligrams AC. What's AC stand for?
Before bed.
Before meals. Anything AC or PC is after. So AC, right? 4 meals twice a day. So that would be before breakfast, before something. Because you want to split them up. So he ordered 10 milligrams ACBID. We're not trying to think of that. For 14 days. How many tablets do you need? First, we got to figure out how many tablets do we need to make 10 milligrams. So, on hand, this is what they got in the pharmacy. They got 20 milligram tablets. There's 20 milligrams in one tab. He only ordered 10 milligrams. So, what are we going to have to do to that tablet? If you have to write the problem out, the problem would look like 20 milligram tablets is what we have. And the doctor ordered, and I always like to do it opposite. This is what we have in the pharmacy, right? That's how I like to write it. So just to keep it in one place. And what the doctor ordered was 10 milligrams. But I don't know what that is right now.
10
That's
divided by
yours.
2 is 20.
Yes, 10. No, 20 divided by
10.
no 20 divided by
2 is 10.
yes. So that's divided by 2. So 1 divided by 2
2.
is
1.
no 1 divided by 2. You're gonna have it. A tablet divided by 2.
0.5.
Yes. Try not to think of your 0.5. Don't think like that. I want you to think. How do you have to tab? If this went from 20 to 10, that's half of that. So we're gonna have to tab. So then you get that half a tab. So to continue your order, Pepsid 10 milligrams. That's a half a tab, right? ACBID. So he's gonna take a half a tab in the morning, half a tab at night. What's that make for days? For the day. For the day, he takes how many tabs? He takes a half in the morning, half at night. He takes 1. So 1 tablet he takes in a day, times 14 days. So how many tablets are we gonna give him? He takes 1 for 14 days.
14 tablets.
14 tabs. But us, and that's 14 tabs total. Us as pharmacists, we are going to, pharmacy techs, we are going to have those tablets for them. So in all, they will have 28 1/2 tablets. 28.5 tablets. But this would be what I wanted you to give me. 14 total tabs. But we know we're going to have them for them and give them 28 pieces. 28. It won't be 28 tabs, but it'll be 28 pieces of medication. Alright? So that's how you figure that one. So let's figure this next one. Doctor order. These are ones I made up. Doctor ordered 1,500 milligrams every other day. No, that's not every other day. Every other day we'll have all of it. Let me. Every other day. But we're gonna do QID. That's 4 times a day. QID, that's another one you got to remember. QID 4 times a day. BID is what? 2 times a day. Bi. How about TID? That's try.
3 times.
3 times a day. Quad.
4
4 times a day. Right? BID. PID. What about HS? What's it stand for? Hour of sleep. Those are your SIG codes. That's what they call all these abbreviations are wonderful SIG codes. You got to know them to read the prescription and to fill the prescription. So, Doctor ordered 1,500 milligrams, 4 times a day. PC, what's the PC stand for? If AC stands for before meals,
After?
PC stands for after. Because A is before, B is after, like AM and PM. Okay? So, that's what he ordered. Doctor ordered. But on hand, we have 500 milligrams. And, I don't know what was there. In 1 tab. So we're doing tabs. Most of the time it's gonna be in 1 tab if you're doing a tab. So we got 500. Doctor ordered 1,500 milligrams every day. That's 4 times a day. It's gonna be a crazy answer, but that's okay. So 1,500 QID. We're looking at this 1,500. How do we get 1,500 from 500? How do we get that? So we know that equals 1,500, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we go from 5 to 15? And look at it as a rationale, or you can still make it a problem. You can still make the whole problem, which would be 500 milligrams. X equals 1,500 milligrams. Then you would have to divide by 500, divide by 500, and you can still do it.
You can't do the times 3?
Yes. You can do it either way. That's why there are different ways to do this same problem. This, if you can just do it in your head, is pretty good, or a calculator gives you even numbers. So 500 times 3 is 1,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 1 times 3 is what?
3.
3. So to get 1,500 milligrams, that's the dose he wanted. We need 3 tablets. So continue your question. Now we know he ordered 1,500 milligrams every day. So it takes 3 tabs to make one of the orders of 15. So he ordered 1,500 milligrams QID. So we got 3 already
3 times 4.
times 4. So he wants 12 tabs a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time 14 days. What's that gonna be? 12 times
14
equals
168 tabs.
that is how many we're gonna put in here.
Oh.
168 tabs is what they're gonna take. They're gonna take 3 tabs every time they take their medicine for 4 times a day. And then he's gonna take those 12 all day long for 14 days equals your 168. And these you can keep playing and make your own little problems up just to get you in there. To make you, maybe a lighter come on the more you do it, and to do it both ways, we'll have to do it square. I always did mine both ways. Then go back and check my math. Alright, so let's go back to one of our earlier problems. Alright, so we got the physician orders ferrous sulfate 500. Where do I put that? The doctor's order. Where did the doctor's order go? On our equation.
Top.
Doctor ordered, what did he order? 500 milligrams. Right? What we have on the shelf is ferrous sulfate 220 milligrams in 5 milliliters. Right? So, you can do the ratio first. How do you go from 220 to 500 or 500 to 220? You would go this way because you got your numbers there. Well, I said that backwards. You don't have any numbers. You have to start here. So how do you go from 220 to 500? I can't figure that out. Can you? You'll be sitting there playing all day. So that's fine. We're gonna have to make this one a problem. So we're going to cross multiply. Sorry. So 500 times 5 equals 220x. So we want to first figure out what 500 times 5 is,
2,500.
2,500, and we're doing milligrams, by 220. So then we divide by 220 on this side to get the X by itself. Remember, always get your X by itself. Divide that by 220, and then that gives you 250, or 2,500 divided by 220 equals
11.36.
11.36. So in pharmacy, we do what? We round up
11.4.
milliliters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Next problem. The doctor orders codeine 1/4 gram. What is the answer? How many milligrams are in 1/4 gram?
Point 45.
1/4.
What? 15.
15. So if I got grain 3/4, what is it?
45.
Yeah. Okay. I see it's coming better to you. How about grain 1 hand?
30.
Yes. And a whole grain equals how many milliliters? Milligrams.
60.
60. Okay. The doctor, nope, next one. You have 70% solution of dextrose 1,000. How many kilograms of dextrose is in 400 milliliters of this solution? So you've got 70% dextrose. It's all the information you need in the beginning. So from that, we know what?
70 grams.
70 grams is in how many?
100 ml.
Milliliters, yes. So we got that far. What they want to know is how many kilograms of dextrose is in 400 milliliters. So you keep your milliliters where they're supposed to go, so your 400 goes here. Or you can do it a whole nother simpler way, but we're going to try to do this problem first. I got 70 grams in 100, so how many grams is in 400? How did we get from 100 to 400?
1 times 4.
Times 4, times 4. So 70 times 4 is
280.
280. And that is your answer. Is 200 milligrams. But they want kilograms. So we got 280 milligrams. We know that's a lot of milligrams, but not compared to a kilogram. So how many places do we, to make this a kilogram, how many places do we move it?
2.
3.
3.
3,000. There's 3 zeros in 1,000. So you got to move it 3 places to make it a whole kilogram. That's how they figured that. So you move it 3 places, and that gives you
280.
0.28. And it's not going to be a milligram anymore. When you move your decimal, that is kilogram. Yes. It's 280 milligrams, but when you put it in kilogram, it's a whole lot smaller number because kilogram is bigger. Okay, so that's that one. Next problem. A prescription reads for erythromycin 150 milligrams every 6 hours for 10 days. Hold on to all the every and 6 hours for how many days? We've got to figure out the medication first. So erythromycin 150. This is what the doctor orders. So doctor order. Where do you put your doctor order on your problem?
To the top.
So we got, he ordered 150 milligrams of something. We don't even know yet. On hand, there is erythromycin 250 in 5 milliliters. We got our problem. This is what's at the pharmacy. This is what they'll say on hand. They'll say all kind of little things in the problem. That's all it means is they're telling you exactly what they got, what you got to get this 150 out of. So, same thing. How do we get, how many milliliters is 150? So you can try it in your head to go from 250 to 150.
Can you multiply?
Can you do that?
Point, something over there.
So how do you, I can't do it in my head, so I'm not even gonna hurt my head. So what I do is go ahead and make it a problem. So it'd be 150 times 5 equals 250 eggs. So we already know. That sounds like it's gonna blow up. So how do we figure this? 150 times 5 is what?
750.
750
Mm-hmm.
equals 250 x. Then we want the x by itself, so divide by 250 and divide by 250. So x equals
Equals. Oh, wait a minute. 750 divided by 250. 3.
3. And think about it in your head. Does that make sense to me? And you say that. That's what I say in my head. Does that make sense? So you go, if there's 250 in 5, would it make sense to have 150 in 3? Yes. If there's a whole 250 in 5, of course, that's, if you got 150, it's going to be at 3. And I don't mean of course, but it's smaller, so the number's going to be smaller. And that's another way you can think back and say, but does that make sense? Same if you got 300 in something in 5, 100 in 2.5. Does that make sense? Because you actually, if I got 300 in 5, that's half. So I gotta go half of that. Just think it in your head. And in here I would think, 250 is less than 150. And then yeah, that's about right. Because I can't really figure that in my head. I would have made a problem. Okay? Get you know. Alright. A solution of Haldol contains 2 milligrams in each milliliter of active ingredient. Those other words of active ingredient, that just means how much medicine is in there. That means how much medicine is really in it that is active. That's what we measure. So, it's solution of Haldol in 2 milligrams in 1 milliliter, right? Listen to the question though. A solution of Haldol contains 2 milligrams in a milliliter of active ingredient. How many grams would be in 473 milliliters of this solution? So it just told you that you have 2 milligrams in 1 milliliter, right? That's what you got. Now, what they have in the pharmacy is 473 of that. 473 milliliters. Right? So, how do I get there? I'll go from 1 to 473.
473
Times it, divide it.
times
So what would I put up here?
times 1. I meant times 473.
Yes, you got it. Don't mess that one. So, 2 times 473 is what?
Times 2. 946.
946 milligrams. Well, that's what you really got back there. And each little 2 milligram of that medicine that you got 2 milligrams in 1 milliliter. But you got a whole big old thing of it, 473 milliliters in it. What they want to know how many milligrams is there. They can figure out how many doses that they can give somebody before they reorder or something. But they're trying to figure out how many milligrams do they have back there. And they got 946 in some container somewhere. you have 70% dextrose solution. What do we already know?
70 grams over 100 milliliters.
We already know we got 7.
Gram.
Always want to be on grams in how much?
100 ml.
Yes. So we know that. How many milligrams are in 50 milliliters of a solution? You could go about this 2 ways. You could just say 0.5 times 50. Or you can figure it out because you got this in your head. It's stuck there. You can also just make that a 0.7. Just like you can, if they say 0.7 in 100. If it says 0.7 in 1,000. You can do that problem just like that. You can just take 0.7, 0.7, or whatever it is, because it's always going to be 70% of that, 70% of that, 70%. So, 70%, we got our grams. Now, what did I say they had? 50 milliliters. This is what it is back there, or this is what's back there. But that's what they want. So, how do we do this? Problem I wrote backwards, but it's the same problem. So how do you go from 150?
Divide by 5.
No, 150.
2.
Remember you had to do that on your calculator.
I don't know because I had it.
$100. You need $50. Or back, vice versa. You know, how many 50s equal 100? So that's how you're gonna remember that. So we got that, we divided by 2, right? To get 50, we got 70 divided by 2. And so what is our grams over here?
3.5.
Nope.
7.
70 divided by 2.
35.
35 grams. So that is the order. When you go back, look at your videos, and do all this all over again. Do your practice questions on your videos, and work it with them. I mean, actually put your hands on it and do it, and that'll help you as well. And then they'll describe it and help you with the doctors on hand, orders like that. Give you another one. A prescription calls for 10 milligrams of a drug that is in 2 milligrams. So, a prescription, the doctor ordered 10 milligrams of something, alright? Of a drug that is in, that's what we got in the bag, 2 milligrams and 5 milliliters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Divide by
doctor
5.
ordered, this is what we got on here. So, you divide by 5, get that 2. Oh, can't do it that way, because there's no number here to divide by 5. So, you got to do it the other way. How do you get from 2 to 10?
Times 5.
Times 5. And then that how you get 2 times 10 is 5, then you that times 10, or what else I say? 5.
Mm-hmm. 5
So 5 times 5 is
25.
Does that make sense? In your head of heads?
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 milligrams in 5, you've got 10 in 25. Nope, that don't make sense. What was the question? Oh, we were looking for 10 milligrams is what we were looking for. So how many of that would make? Okay, that makes more sense. So on my own self. So 2 milligrams is in 5, as is, 10 is in 25. And that's a ratio problem. That's what they say, as is. You know, you remember the similarities. If you can find one similarity, you just do it to the other side. And that's the ratio. If you didn't have that, let's do the problem the other way. Cross multiply. So it'll be 10 times 5 equals 2. Then we're going to do what to this front side?
50.
50 equals 2. Equals 2. Then we're going to do what? Divide by
2.
2. Because
25.
this is big. So you divide by 2, and by 2, so that gives you 25 x. 2 Two problems, two ways you can figure that out. You can do the easy way in your head or on calculator, but how did I get from 2 to 10? That's not 5. Not 5. That gives you your 25. Or if that is just, you're not thinking like that, just make your other problem, which would not have that there, nor these. You'd still have your order 10 milligrams. You got 2 milligrams and 5 in the back. How do we find out what that is? 2x equals 10 times 5 is 50. We got to get this 2 by itself. 2 by itself. I mean, the x by itself. And then 50 divided by 2 is
25.
So either way, you can do those. Those are 2 different ways to figure out those problems. 680 is what percent?
.75, 75%.
There you go. 75. I was waiting for you to go ahead. It equals 0.75, but what is the percent? That's the question. Okay. 0.115 is what percent?
11.5%.
In there. Do not doubt the process. So go find yourself. I'm going to give you this to work on. And actually, I'm not going to give you this. I want you to work those problems that are on your page already. All those problems, there's about 6 or 7 of them that I sent to you. That is on your page. No, they're on your in your messenger. Do all your messenger problems on a piece of paper. They've done them for you on messenger. Just go over each one of them, write the question, write the problem, and write it down. Half of it is getting your hands to put the stuff where it belongs in the problem. And then you can figure it out easy. But you got to put the right stuff in the problem. So work out those problems that are in your messenger.